Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel. Oh my goodness, sorry for shaking that. Today I am going to show you partway through my process of binding a journal. The reason for this particular one is in preparation for Defemberemba. Defemberemba. Ay, ay, ay. The December ephemera thingamajig that Louisa Heinzel and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies started last year and are carrying on with this year. So in preparation, they had asked that anyone who wanted to take part create a journal for that particular purpose. So this is what I've chosen. This is an old Reader's Digest cover. It's better than some of the ones we all are familiar with, where the spine breaks right off. This one, if I'm not mistaken, is 1953. So it's in pretty good shape. What I did do, though, is add some packaging, cardstock packaging material to strengthen the spine. And so just to save some time, I've also prepared my signatures, and I'll show you those in a second. I need to just keep reminding myself about the, staying in frame, because on one of the recent videos, I noticed that I was out a lot of the time. So basically what I've prepped already, just again to save some time and because you've probably seen a million of these before, is I picked this little fabric remnant. It's about 5 inches wide, I think. And so I glued it on just with glue stick. This is also a piece of packaging. And basically, I was hoping that let me back up a bit. I was hoping I'd be able to get 5 signatures in here simply because that makes the math a little easier to have an odd number. But I thought that would be pushing my luck, especially since there will be many things added to this journal. So I cut it back to 4. And so because these end papers look pretty good, or they could easily be covered if necessary, not a particularly straight job they've done on lining it up, but anyway, I prepared this, and this will obviously cover the, this connection here. So what I did first, by using my centering ruler, and in case you've never seen one of these, I know I was a bit confused in the beginning, is on any particular thing. That's not good. Okay. So pretend I want to find the center on this. So I would, excuse me, this cough continues. I would adjust back and forth until the distance here and the distance here are the same. So you can see they're not, got to go a bit this way. So that is, I'd say, pretty darn good. So it is 3 5/8. On this side, 3 5/8. On that side, I would then make a mark and Bob's your uncle. So that's what I started out by doing here. And I'm considering this the top, just because, well, the print is this way and that's easy enough to remember. So I found, you can probably see I've erased it, but not that well. I found my center line. So I thought, well, okay, let's have 1/4 of an inch between each signature. So basically, again, using the centering ruler, I went 1/8 of an inch either side to end up with 4 equally spaced marks. This doesn't look particularly straight to me. Maybe it's that top line that looks a little cockeyed. Let's just see if that, oh yeah, this should be a little higher. I wanted the top and the bottom each to be 3/4 of an inch down. Okay, so at the point where, okay, 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I marked the center, 3/4 of an inch from the top, 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And each of these points that intersect, maybe I could do a little star or something there, or an X. Each of these points that intersect, top and bottom, will become holes. And so on. So just to, I have my Crocodile 2 here. Maybe I should use it just for simplicity's sake. Basically, what I'll do now is, let me get this cover out of the way for the time being, is using the smaller hole, which is the 1/8 setting. So you can see smaller. I will make the 12 holes. So unfortunately you can't see what I'm doing, but I can, so I guess that's what matters in this case. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And because this thing is pretty darn sharp, it's cutting, well, a reasonably neat hole. Oops, sorry. Reasonably neat hole through that cotton. So I'll just continue doing the next holes. And, you know, I guess it would almost be nice if they made a Crocodile 3 that had a slightly smaller hole. But in the absence of that, this is what we'll use. Of course, if you don't have this Crocodile tool, you can use an awl. You can use a thicker bodied. Oops, I can't see where my other line is. You can also use a needle. You want the hole obviously to be big enough so that when you are sewing it in, that you know that it's big enough for your needle to make its way through pretty easily. Now I guess I should have pre-selected something here. I try to keep, damn it. I try to keep one of my needles threaded just so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. But if that was threaded, it no longer is. I have a variety of things in my little pouch here. So I've got an awl. I've got, this is upholstery thread. Got a couple spools of that. I've got other thread. I've got elastic in a variety of colors. This is waxed cotton jewelry cord, which would also work. Stretch, I don't know about that. This is more like raffia, or hemp, I mean. Again, a variety of things. And I really should use some of these things up. And Oh, and this I paid, I think, quite dearly for this. This is bookbinding thread that has been waxed. The waxing supposedly is supposed to make the needle slide more easily, but again, with the size of those holes, it's not going to be an issue. And it is also supposed to make the knots hold better once you you finally do it. I don't know what this is. It's something either I had in a stash or bought. Oh, I guess the best way to check on something is to actually pull at it and see if you can, with your brute strength, if you can break it. This is a tough one. And it would look fine. No, mind you, that's not going to show. Okay, just for the sake of moving on, let's move on. So the typical, let me just see if I can find a nice needle. Again, you want it to be blunt so that you're not poking holes in places you don't want to poke them. The bigger eye, this I think would be a good one. The bigger eye helps thread these thicker fibers through. You can also use dental floss or 6-strand embroidery thread. Obviously threading, even a blind person could thread this. Great, now I'm not going to be able to get it off the spool. Even, you know, you don't need to be able to see to thread that. So the typical wisdom is 3 times the height of the spine. So let's do that. Oh, sorry, I missed one step. Wouldn't have gotten very far. Anyway, let me thread this while it's in my hand. Okay. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so I know this is the top. Oh, I promised to show you the signatures. I'll show you one, and they're all pretty well the same. So this top sheet, I think, is really nice, and it's basically what I'm using as a signature cover. It is out of Wallpaper Sample Book. So, kind of cool. I had to, we know that Reader's Digest books are sort of smaller than average, so pretty well everything needed to be trimmed. This is shorthand, a page out of a shorthand textbook. And I've just, you know, again, until I know exactly what we're doing, I just folded things back out of a dictionary. Actual pages out of this Reader's Digest. This is an old book, 1916 or something. The paper is really nice. It's kind of, I don't know, kind of a strange book. This is a little undersized, and this is out of a book of a French atlas from the 60s. So basically, that is that. The wallpaper, again, I just turned back, rather than cut that off, left the option of a pocket there. So the rest are pretty well the same. The only thing that maybe is a bit different is in this one. I kind of did a foldy thing there. And I might have done that with one of these wallpapers. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You will choose your papers for any book that you're binding based on your theme and what you have available to you. And trust me, there is no, don't feel the need to exactly copy anyone else's idea, because frankly, you could drive yourself crazy. So basically what I want to do is, maybe these are not, you can see they're not exactly the same height. And again, in the scheme of things, that's not going to matter, and that doesn't bother me. So maybe what I should do is one by one. Pam at the Paper Outpost is famous for doing this chop thing. Oh, I know what I forgot. Sorry, guys. Let me just reach. These aren't big. Well, I guess they're okay, but they're not the oversized paper clips that you would often see people using at this particular juncture. Basically, you get your pages lined up and as firmly into the little ditch as possible. I think the formal word is gutter, to be honest, page gutter. So basically, I'm lining up the edge of the signature with the edge of the spine. And I'm just going to make pencil marks where the 3 holes are. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that on all 4 of these. Sorry, I should have had this done and ready rather than keep you waiting. So that guy's a little bit taller, that's okay. Again, I'm making those marks. And I am doing these some sort of an order here. I think there's a flaw in my I think there's a flaw in my thinking. I just realized that I was about to say it. I'm working on the back of this because of course that's where the marks are. That's what I need to see. But what I was going to say is that I'm making the marks on the spine of the signatures based on their positioning in the journal. But in fact, ignore that thought, because in fact, if I turn this over, it will be reversed. So sorry about that bright idea that turned out to be not so bright. I also, in case you've never bound a book before, I also want to reassure you that, yeah, it's perhaps, whoopsie, I just ripped that. Perhaps not the people's favorite part of the journal making process. It doesn't mean that it's impossible or that difficult. It just means that there are more fun parts. And certainly, it is not rocket science, so anybody can do it. Okay. So to carry on now, in order to have something to sew, obviously we need holes in, and hopefully I think maybe if I fold this back, it would be have a better chance of having those holes appear in the right spot. I do have to say that early on in this journey, I got my husband to build me a book cradle. And he's a handy guy, and of course, you know, could build a house if he put his mind to it. I just wanted a book cradle. And, you know, of course, his question is, well, what size? And blah, blah, blah. So I told him what I thought. You know, my best guess as an amateur. And he built it to withstand hurricane force winds and any other disaster that may befall us. So it's pretty heavy, it's pretty big, it's kind of clumsy, but it is there as an option if I so choose. Again, I'll just try to speed this up a bit so you're not having to, whoops, watch the whole thing. Oh, I should tell you, I did tell you that I ended up with 4 signatures just because I think it's going to get a little bit chunky. Where did I just, oh. And I think in the beginning, I thought it was, maybe it's false economy. I thought it was easier if a person had fewer signatures. I don't know that I still believe that. Bigger signatures, I think, will prevent the book from lying as flat as it would otherwise. Yeah, maybe you have fewer signatures to sew in, but the end result might not be as great. So, you know, instead of doing 2 signatures, say of 16 pages each, which would, if you know the new math, would get us the same as 4 signatures of 8 pages, I chose to do the 4 signatures of 8 pages. So hopefully that will prove to be a good decision. In the end. Now, the placement, and I think I kind of alluded to that earlier, the placement of these top and bottom holes is kind of optional, but if I had more variety in the size of my pages, I would want to make sure that either my pages are staggered in height throughout the signature, or that, okay, done, or that what was I trying to say? Did I lose the first signature? Oh, here it is. Excuse me. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if I had a variety of page heights, I would want at least 2 of the holes to catch them. Otherwise, you could get some shimmying and some wobbling. So, okay. I think it's probably a good practice to start at the back, to do your back signature first. So I've got my signatures sort of stacked in reverse order here to the side. I've got my needle threaded. I like the option of having the knot show on the inside so that if I wanted to attach something to it or do something fancy-dancy, I could. So basically, the way I do this, and I think it's the way most people do it, is if you want your knot on the inside, that's where you start. So I'm going through the center hole, I'm then going up. Now you see how easy it would be to get in the wrong row. But because this is the very back signature, I want to make sure I'm in the right row. And I think probably most people have made that mistake at one point or the other. So it's always a good thing to check right at the last moment. Excuse me. And then up through, back through the center hole. Now, because this hole is a generous size, there was absolutely no chance, well, or little chance, that I would pierce the thread and cause problems for myself. So rather than just tying off without double checking, I've turned it over, I've looked at it, and I've made sure that, in fact, I'm in the right row. So what I was always taught, or what I learned early on, is that you pull in opposite directions. So if this thread is coming from the bottom, I'm pulling towards the top, and vice versa. So once you've got a nice tension, and I guess this is probably, this is probably where the wax thread would probably make life a little easier. I've tied one knot. I'm doing it in reverse, and you'll know it's reverse because it feels awkward and funny. And just a third one for good measure. And I will leave that there. I'll remove the paper clips because they no longer serve a purpose. I know that some people, and it's probably a good idea, once they've got a signature in, will take a bone folder, you know, just to make sure that you're making nice contact there. Okay, rethread. Now, you saw 2, 3. You saw that 3 was generous. 3 times was generous. But am I going to try 2.5 and be short? Probably not. In the big scheme of things, is this the order I wanted them in? I wanted that. Oh, it doesn't matter, I guess, at this point. So I'm working on the second to last signature. Again, same process. In through the middle, leave a tail on the inside. Now, the reason I have this second piece of cardboard, the one with the, you know, sort of the template with the holes in it, is because I didn't want, and again up through the center, I didn't want these strings, these signature threads, to show in the spine of the book. Okay, and a lot has been said too about making very sure, being very clear. Oh, number 1, let's check. Yes, everything's in the right hole. That we've got one thread on either side of this center. Otherwise, you're not anchoring anything to anything. Maybe I'll try to even this out a bit. Again, good tension. Tie. Remove clips. And, whoops, these sleeves. Again, press, press, press. Press, press, press. Rethread. 1, 2, almost 3. Let's do this again for the final one. 1, 2, 3-ish. Get rid of that. Thread the needle. Leave yourself a tail so it doesn't slip off. And I'm doing my second last, or well, I guess my second from the front. See, that's not the greatest centering. It's good there, but not so good there. In the big picture, that is not going to matter in the end. Again, starting from the middle, through the center hole. Now, I've done journals where I haven't used the crocodile to make the hole. You know, maybe it's a little mini book or something, and I just used a needle. And so the hole is smaller, and maybe the pages are more, I don't know, different paper or more unruly or something. Oopsie. That came apart. I think that hole is big enough that I could, no, I better not try. What I was saying was the hole can get a little sloppy, and you can end up puncturing your paper in several places if the hole isn't quite big enough and you're having trouble, you know, aiming and so on. Again, let's make sure that we're in the right row. Yes, we are. String on either side. Pull in opposite directions. Does this seem extra slippery just because you guys are here? I think that may be the case. I didn't even that one out very well. Move the clips and on to the last one. Oops. Squash, squash, squash. Squash, squash, squash. Needle, thread. Get this baby lined up. There's only one set of holes to go through now, so it'll be pretty hard, but probably not impossible to thread it through the wrong ones. I'm hoping, because this paper is like 63 years old, that's the one that ripped earlier. I'm hoping that I don't end up having to reinforce all these pages. Other side. Whoopsie. Look how easily that made a hole. Let's just double check. Yep. Thread on either side, pretty even. Go the other way. Go the other way. Move the clips. Squash. Admire your handiwork. Revel in your genius. And go on to the next step, which is to glue this baby down. Now, I had glued this reinforcing cardboard in with Fabri-Tac. And I think, oops, I should have gotten this thing flowing. Put some of these things in it. I'll need the needle away. Paper clips away. That, I'm sure if you've watched any YouTube videos at all, you know about Fabri-Tac glue. It is preferred for a lot of jobs in this bookmaking business. And I think we many of us alternately thank and curse it because it is, it provides great adhesion on all kinds of surfaces, but it does tend to clog up and need to be thinned with acetate acetate or alcohol. Acetate every so often just to get it moving again. Virtually everyone under the sun has decanted some into one of these bottles called Sweet Sugar Bell, and they're basically in the cake decorating department at a craft store because it's a fine tip point. And I don't even bother with a pin anymore because it just seemed like one extra thing that was getting in the way. So this is in the knitting department, and these, I had kind of a hard time finding them, but anyway, they're in the knitting department. I'm just wondering what would be better. I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Maybe I'll put the glue on here just for... the knitting needle covers sort of help prevent the... oh my God. This is... Where is my doohickey? I used it earlier. This is what happens, kids, when you don't put your stuff back where you found it. Anyway, let's see if I can power through this. I might have to make a new one. Basically, I just straighten out a paper clip. Oh, this is going to be this plastic coated, damn it. Plastic coated one is too thick. Sorry, guys. I normally have a... don't even have a needle handy. Maybe I do. Oh. Sorry. Whoopsie. Ah. Oh my goodness, I just stuck that very fine needle into my finger. This... feel some resistance there. That needle was so fine it didn't even bleed. Okay, let's try again. So you want to be generous. Now my little cardboard doohickey here is only the height of this cardboard. So I'm not going to gob any glue onto there. The fabric is deliberately longer so that it extends past the edge of the book, top and bottom. However, if at some point I don't like that, I can easily I'm also putting glue, I can easily trim it off. I'm also putting glue down in this little channel because it's important that there's good grip there. And that will, you know, require a little bit of extra attention. And you don't have forever in doing this either, because this glue is not as, oh, see, I could have maybe neatened that up a bit. I tried to, but to be honest, I stopped because I have also cut right through. Leave that lying down. Okay. Making sure top is top. Making sure top is top. I'm now going to set this down. I can see where the cardboard ends. That is my target. And let's look at it from this side. Yep. Let's make sure the book closes. Okay. So, because we have these, you know, fairly wide spaces in here, kind of gives a good opportunity to get in there to press down and make sure that the glue connects. Now, you saw me put glue in the little ditch, in the little channel. I'm going to, with using this bone folder, try to make good contact with the glue there. And again, you know, all's not lost if I have to peel that back and, oh, see, and then you get some of this happening. Anyway, want to make good adhesion. Want to make good contact here in the little ditch. And hopefully even with this pattern fabric, you can see where my bone folder is descending and so that looks not too bad. So let's, again, now we're upside down, so maybe let's go back to the back. Now, the problem is that thing. The problem now is that if I'm putting this straight on here, the beads, the lines of glue will probably show because the fabric isn't that thick. So I'm kind of trying to just very lightly spread some glue on there. Spread some glue on there. Now, if I can find my... Of course I can't. My silicone spreader. I would have done better than a finger, no doubt, but I guess the beauty of this pattern is that it disguises anything that may be a bit rougher. With Fabri-Tac, if you have it gob out of the side, if you catch it quickly, you can just roll off the excess with no damage done. Like so. Oh dear. Oh dear. Did you see that? Don't have good contact here. So when I went to fold that, you could see that. You could see that little pucker there. Doesn't look like there's much, or maybe I just didn't press it down enough. Tell me I'm going to have to peel this up. Oh dear, working up a sweat doing this. This time, kind of know where the glue will end up so I can put it straight on here. Trying to okay, that's a lot better. Little dab here. And let's get to the front. Oops, let the glue go down. Oh, I see that there's a little lift here. So while I'm waiting for that glue to move down, just take that moment to okay, that's good. Just wait a second. And I could, I suppose, make a light pencil mark or just judge. It's about 1.25 inches. Maybe this time I'll just put it straight on here, see if that gives us better results. Again, I'll be sure to get in nice and close to this point of movement, point of wear and tear. you know, give me my kingdom for a glue bottle that flows. Oops. Do a little smooshing. Lay this baby down. Keep the ditch making good contact. That's good. Do a little touch up on the edge. And again, it's better to have missed the edge than to have gone way beyond and then have a cleanup to do. Yeah, this front one went a lot better. I think that's another good reason for starting at the back. If there is going to be a difficulty or a little boo-boo of some sort, let it be at the back as opposed to the front. I'll stand this thing up, cover it up, and show you this masterpiece. So I'm going to keep this folded, closed, so that it, continues to take the shape that we want it to be in. You can see that, it's got room to grow, which is exactly what is going to happen. But it's not so skimpy that it looks like we forgot something. I will probably end up, wonder if I can do that. Where are my good little scissors? I'm going to try to do that now with you guys watching. Probably would have been better to do it prior. I think I'm going to try to snip back, and it should work because it wasn't glued. Yeah, this would have been a better move when that sort of looks like I gnawed at it, doesn't it? What can you see? Anything? I couldn't leave it alone, could I? I think it's like cutting hair, maybe less at the beginning and a little more off later. Let me get to this point so I don't go too far. That I will probably just fray to make it look intentional as opposed to a hatchet job. This I'm just trying to neaten up a bit. Again, just by fluke, I started at the bottom. Yeah, that's going to look better. And in fact, even that thing may get trimmed at some point if it irks me. How are we doing for time? Oh dear, it's getting up there. I think I'll stop here. Maybe this trimming would be going better if you guys weren't watching. I don't know. Although I suppose it's good for you to see that everybody has to do problem solving. Yeah, that's going to need a little more TLC. Again, let me snip this so I don't go too far. Trying to be aware of the frame. I'm overheating. Shouldn't have worn a long sleeve sweater. Yeah, I think I will just fray that to make it look more intentional. Okay, kids. That's going to be it for today. I'm not doing anything more to this until December starts, because probably working on the cover will be one of the projects. So hopefully I will be able to keep up with those gals as they do their projects. If not, it might be, something that I have to squeeze in. But I hope that for those of you who have never tried binding a book before, that you, know a little bit more than when you started, and that the process has been demystified a bit. Again, it's not the only way to do it. It's not probably the best way to do it, but it's done. Okay, thanks. Bye.